Friday, March 8th, 2013. First video of the new year, maybe? Maybe I posted one on January 1st. I think I did. I think I called it like the New Year's resolutions. Yeah, I did. As far as those are going, it's going. I'm batting like a 300 in that the only real change that I've made is that I have started going to the gym, and I finished up about a month. I finished the first cycle on Jim Wendler's 5-3-1 template, which is pretty straightforward. It's basically a bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press. I haven't been doing the overhead press because it's the one activity that seems to bother my wrists, this carpal tunnel that I have. But the bench, the squat, and the deadlift I've been keeping up on every week, going into my 5th week now, and feeling strong. Obviously not as strong as I was, 2 years ago when I was posting videos from Las Vegas, but still doing pretty good. As far as the carpal tunnel goes, I don't know if I mentioned they really wanted to operate to sever that tendon, that ligament, and I'm just, not only do I not want to take the time off of work, but after doing some research, the prognosis of that surgery is just not that good. So I bought this little BDSM bondage looking device. It's actually an exercise device. It's funny, I'll leave this sitting on my little side table sometimes, and if someone comes into my apartment, I'm like, ooh, they're going to think I'm into some like freaky shit. But like I mentioned in the carpal tunnel video, if carpal tunnel is a product of flexion, creating a narrowing of that tunnel, which puts pressure on that nerve, then it makes sense to me if you work the extenders, you might be able to counteract that a bit. So I've been doing that pretty regularly. Most days I've actually already. At first it was really hard. I feel a lot of fatigue and burning, but I've increased it. You can increase the resistance. So if you just had this one in, that's the lowest. I guess the lowest would be no bands. Then just the bottom one. Then just the top one. And just today I increased to having both bands. It comes with this thing too, which you wrap around your bicep. Kind of creates like an anchor point. But what I've been doing is just if you have carpal tunnel and you think about buying one of these things, like they say it's best to have a snug glove. Don't take that lightly. I ordered the extra large based off of their measuring chart, and it was way too big, so this is the large. Basically, these things, they would anchor to that bicep belt, whatever you want to call it. But instead of having to, because you have to switch it every time when you switch hands. The same gloves goes on both hands, but you have to switch the bands and that, and it's just annoying. So I just basically hold it. You can't really see it right now. I hold it at different points, like on this one here, which is what I find to be the most difficult. I kind of hold it right at my elbow crease. And for the other two where I'm stronger, I hold it further up. This one as well. Like almost falling off my seat. Anyway, so in addition to this, I'm going to a active release technician / chiropractor. And basically, they don't fuck with you. They do tend to have the philosophy of, well, everything stems from your back or your neck, which I can kind of get on board with, but she jams her fingers into my forearm, mostly the flexors, but also the extensors, and I'll flex against it, and I can really feel that she's digging into nodules of some sort, possibly breaking up scar tissue or whatever the fuck that means, which maybe will allow that tunnel to open up a bit. She also does like because I have tennis elbow as well, she works on the triceps, and she's taller than I am, and she's fucking ripped. She's an Ironman competitor. And I see her like digging. At first, I'm like, a female, she can have enough strength to really like work me. She's like digging into my forearms, and I see her arms are flexing, her chest is flexing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this lady's an animal. So I've been doing that for like 3-4 weeks now. Of course, like I made another video, Joe's a bad scientist. I don't tend to attack things with one approach. I tend to attack it from multiple angles. So if this does begin to work, I don't really know if it's the ART. I don't really know if it's the flex tend. But fuck it, if it helps me to avoid surgery, then I'm on board. Although so far I noticed some increased range of motion. Like before, I was actually having a hard time touching my thumb to the outside of my pinky finger here, and it's even more so on this hand. My left hand, at least, it seems like I do have some improved range of motion, which is a good sign. But on the flip side, I'm feeling like more discomfort and pain in my wrists. It's minor, and it could be that just because I know I have carpal tunnel, I'm sort of focused and fixating on it, but it's a bit disconcerting, so we'll see how it goes. I did get a cortisone shot in my right wrist, which was gnarly. It was he had me flex, and you can see that tendon there, or whatever this is, and he jabbed a huge thick gauge needle in that as I was flexed, and then had me extend. Oh, it's the worst medical procedure I've ever had done. Now I just sort of sat there with like a dry, stoic look on my face, but I was thinking like, holy fuck, this is bad. I didn't get that because I was feeling a lot of pain or discomfort. I got that because I guess the idea of the cortisone is that it actually relieves pressure, and by relieving pressure, it takes the burden off of that nerve, which may help to stall or prevent nerve damage while I'm trying to fix this problem with alternative medicine. And this was the one that was, my right wrist was labeled as more severe than my left. And also, I didn't want to drive myself home that day with two numb hands. So, and the hand never really got numb. It just sort of felt strange for the rest of the day. There was never, once the needle came out, the pain was gone. The pain of the procedure itself. So, other than that, it's working a lot. We're really short-staffed. Trying to pick up I worked like the equivalent of like 7 shifts this past week. I got this thing in my head to possibly purchase a house, and there's a few. I went to the banker and spoke with them about that, and there's a few dings on my credit I have to take care of first. I'm actually approved. I could get a home loan today if I wanted to, but to improve the rates and to get that low sub 4% fixed rate, and that's actually locked in through FHA, but to reduce my down payment to a point that's more reasonable, I need to polish my credit a bit. So basically throwing every extra dollar I have towards clearing that debt, and I think I'll be debt free, at least the bad debts, by summertime, so that's a good thing. Of course, at that point my truck will be almost paid off, and I'll still have a shit ton of student loans, but those are, just have to come to terms. Those will be following me around for, it's like 15 or 16 years, something ridiculous like that. Good thing I have $60,000 and all that higher education, because it sure has aided my truck driving career. Not too much else going on. Just trying to be frugal, my diet was decent, but then for the last like week or two, it's been bad. Just either shitty weather, or when the weather turns, I'm working like double shifts, and I just didn't bring enough food with me. Stop at a gas station, get something shitty just to fuel me to get through the shift. No good, not a good excuse, but it is what it is. I'm gonna head to the gym right now, thinking about altering my sleep schedule a bit. to avoid, because I couldn't really find any research that really got on board with tanning producing vitamin D in the same way that sunlight does, and the risk being higher. And um, maybe it's because I don't have a subscription to any good like PubMed or any good resources, but in my brief attempt at Googling, I didn't find much at all. And the people at the tanning, so they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But listening to Rob Wolf's podcast, he seems to be on board with, hopping in a tanning bed for 5 minutes a couple times a week to get UVA and UVB rays to up vitamin D. I'm not sure. And as a fair skinned guy, it seems risky. I knew that. I don't know. I'm still undecided. But in the meantime, I'm considering altering my sleep schedule a bit, because right now I get home from work, anywhere from 2 to 4 in the morning, and then I'll stay up until 8 in the morning, basically just after the sun rises, and then I go to sleep, and I sleep the entire day until 4 o'clock. Wake up, get in the shower, maybe grab something quick to eat, and go right to work. Like, I'm laying in bed, and then like 18 minutes later, I'm in my truck going to work. And at least for 2 more days, that meant that I would see maybe like an hour and a half of sunlight per day, if that, and indirect, setting sunlight. I'm looking forward to that time change, though. I can finally feel like I'm absorbing some of that. But I think I'm the only person who maintains my type of schedule, which I see as being the more normal schedule. You guys don't get home from work and then go right to bed. You get home from work, you eat, you run errands, you relax, you stay up for 5, 6, 7 hours after work. Same thing as me, except my schedule's reversed 180 of yours. So what most people do though is they get home from work, maybe eat dinner real quick, check their email, take a shower, and go right to bed. And then they wake up, 4 or 5 hours before their shift, and they can kind of get some of the day. They can take advantage of some of the day. So maybe I'll try that. Right now I don't like the idea of it because 2 things. One, I'm just sort of revved up after work, and the idea of going right to bed seems strange, seems hard. And 2, I still have anxiety about going to work. And that's why I kind of like waking up and then just going. Like, I don't have time to think about it. I wake up 4 or 5 hours before my shift, I imagine I'll spend most of that time thinking, fuck, I have to go to work in 3 hours. Fuck, I have to go to work in 2 hours. Fuck, I have to go to work in 1 hour. Ugh. So, but it won't hurt to try. It definitely can't hurt to just absorb some more daytime to feel like I'm not a vampire. For a good portion of the last 6, 7 years, I've been a night shift guy. Even when I was in grad school, I was on the weekends, I was working nights. Most of my days, I would stay up late almost throughout the night and sleep until, just before I had to go to class. Most of my classes didn't start until late morning, afternoon. Before that, working in psych, straight nights. After that, taxi driver nights, truck driver nights, bus driver, half the night, half the day. Just mostly nights. So it's no wonder that I feel off. I feel down. I feel shitty. It's at this point, if you say it's 7 years, that's about a quarter of my life I've spent working flipped of what everybody else works, and flipped of the sun, flipped of natural, normal circadian rhythm. So it definitely can't hurt to try it. But that's it. Long video like usual, but when I don't update very often, it sort of leaves a bit to say. So that's why the videos run long. But anyways, maybe getting back to some more videos, focused around fitness and focused around building weightlifting equipment, especially if I get a house. If I do get a house, it won't be until late this year, early next year, anyways. But if I can get a garage, I like to tinker, and I'll build all sorts of shit. Even if I don't know what I'm doing, I'll eventually figure it out. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to that, so we'll see what happens. If not, If not, who cares? At least in the meantime, I've paid off bills, and working towards something doesn't hurt. Even if you don't necessarily get there, you still, you're working towards something. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for testosterone. Still taking it. The doctor at the clinic refuses to give me anti-estrogens, even though he'll admit that the estrogen is a bit high for his tastes. I went into the clinic like 2 weeks ago with a well-informed, rehearsed, confident argument. I pulled out every tactic, education, research, bringing up specific studies as to the benefits or lack thereof of estrogen, with regards to it suppressing cardiovascular disease, and et cetera, et cetera. Questioning his expertise, he would suggest this supplement, and I'm like, well, explain to me what's the mechanism of action of this supplement? Why are you recommending this? Physiologically, explain it to me. Why you're recommending this indirect route versus Arimidex, which stamps your estrogen down? Why fuck around with this if I can take the thing that we know works factually? He didn't have any good answer. It's just very clear that he is, unless you grow like a pair of double D bitch tits, or you're covered in one large pimple, or all of a sudden all your hair falls out, or like those real obvious high estrogen symptoms, he just will not prescribe it. He refuses to prescribe it. And so I basically told him, well, I didn't say this, but you can go fuck yourself. I'm going to take it anyways, because at this point I feel like I'm just as much of an expert as he is. He's not a testosterone replacement therapy expert. He's a physician's assistant who just so happens to work at this clinic and doesn't seem to know his ass from a hole in the ground. So I'm like, basically fuck off. I know I felt good when I took this, and the lab results verify that my estrogen's gone up too much. And so I'm just going to buy it online. You can buy it online legally. It's not some controlled substance. The only shitty part is that online it's liquid. It's like a dropper. And if you've ever tried to measure liquids or powders, like in small doses, like melatonin, I take a powder form because it's a lot cheaper. And trying to get a dose even as low as 30 milligrams is next to impossible with like consumer grade equipment. So I basically told him, what dose do you prescribe? Okay, 1 milligram. Cut that in half. You do it twice a week. I basically told him I want to get it from you because at least I'll know what exactly. It's going to be a precise commercial grade measured dose. I want to get it from you because that's preferable to me going home and trying to measure exactly 0.5 milligram of liquid. Or I don't know if it's just literally like 1 drop is the equivalent of 1 milligram. So your rate of error is going to be high. And I don't want a high, rate of error when it comes to something that suppresses a hormone in my body. But he said he was going to a conference this week currently, but he said 3 weeks from when I spoke with him. And he's going to get some more information. There's going to be a couple of experts there, like preeminent experts in the field. He's going to talk to them about my lab work and about, I'm not some 65-year-old guy who's content with just being, who's cheating age and content with being on this exogenous hormone for the rest of my life. I want to take the testosterone. I want it to be optimized. I want its effects to be optimized on my body, which they're not when my estrogen is high. So in the meantime, while I'm trying to figure out what's broken in my body, I want this to make me feel good, not just maybe it's working, maybe it's not. So he said he's going to talk to these people and he's going to come back and give me a more concrete answer, one way or the other. So that leaves 2 options. One, he doesn't get any real decent research or argument opposing it or confirming his current stance, which is not prescribing an anti-estrogen. Or 2, he'll get his head out of the hole in the ground and he'll actually prescribe it to me. And if not, I told him, okay, I'll give you 3 weeks and then I'm gonna self-administer. So, anyways, long video. I'll update at some point, hopefully soonish. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And until next time.